Hi, my name is Oleg from Attune.ai, and today I'll talk about 5 tips for suddenly and successfully shifting your team to remote work. Unpredictable situations such as COVID-19 can turn you into a manager of a remote team overnight. How can you keep your team successful with little to no practice as a remote manager? Today, I've got some tips. Number 1. Maintain routines. Routines go a long way in signaling to the brain that it's time to go to work. Suddenly shifting to a remote working situation is likely to be very disruptive. But the disruptions can be minimized by holding onto the patterns that our brains are already very familiar with. For example, encourage your team and yourself to maintain their personal prep routines as best as they can, and encourage them to dress to work. Putting on work clothes sets up a mental boundary between work and downtime, and can even play a part in boosting productivity. Wearing work-appropriate clothing brings about a change in the mental state. We generally feel more present and have higher level of commitment and engagement. As a manager, you can help encourage the work signaling by holding all of your regularly scheduled meetings at their in-office time slots. Additionally, if your remote working situation is temporary, it's beneficial to keep your company's regular office hours. Doing so will allow your employees' body clocks to keep their internal rhythm, including their downtime. Number 2. Use video. The famous 7-38-55 rule states that our perception is only 7% words, 38% is the tone of voice, and 55% is body language. This aspect of personal communication is often debated. However, we all know that human communication is most definitely comprised of more than just words. Working remotely reduces the amount of visual communication available, so creating opportunities for visual clues is imperative. That's why the use of video is critical. It's far more difficult to understand your direct report's overall mood or understand a teammate's reaction to change in plans if you're relying on audio alone. Video can give you that extra bit of information you need to make sure everything from your regularly scheduled team-wide meetings to quick catch-ups are as productive as they can possibly be. Number 3. Communicate frequently and meaningfully. Your team is probably already using a messaging tool like Slack or Microsoft Teams. Use these more casual methods to encourage your team members to communicate with each other, both as individuals and also as a group. If you don't have one already, set up a water cooler channel or a random channel of sorts for the type of in-person update that you would normally get by being in the office, and which you'll miss because you'll be working from home. It's always surprising to us just how many people are intrinsically motivated by social relationship. This is a must-have motivator for almost 30% of employees. And that's almost 1/3 of the team that has to keep the connections going, so do keep that in mind. When it comes to meaningful communication, remember that each one of your employees is going to react to remote work in a different way. While I noted above that nearly 30% of employees are intrinsically motivated socially, the data shows that about 15% need to have autonomy. So what works for one employee might not work for another. One-on-one meetings with your reports are a smart investment of your time, and they will do wonders for your team's morale, productivity, and engagement. If you're not conducting one-on-ones already, now is a great time to start. Number 4. Set clear expectations. In your one-on-ones, make sure both you and your report know what success looks like this week, in whatever amount of detail it is most appropriate. Clear expectations can reinforce a sense of purpose or direction that is often easily lost when you're in a new or a different environment. This goes for all direction in communication. It's important for you to know what your employer expects from you and the rest of the team as well. Make sure that all parties sign off on each of the tasks. And number 5, accountability. At first, it may seem difficult to establish trust in a remote work environment. The best way to re-establish trust is through accountability team-wide. Make sure that all the expectations and goals which are set are followed up upon. Hold people accountable for work that they haven't accomplished, and also publicly celebrate the work that they have done. As the manager, you set an example here, so make sure you give feedback in a timely manner and avoid canceling or rescheduling the meetings. Your employees need to know that they are important to you and the organization. So keeping your word and showing up are surprisingly easy ways to set a really positive precedent. These are the main 5 tips that I wanted to share with you today. If you still do not know where to start or have already tried the tips I mentioned, talk to us about remote motivation for your team. We will be able to tell you exactly what to do and get your team back on track. Thanks for listening and have a great day ahead.